Hello, and welcome back to Cinema from Mars, your source for weird and wonderful cinema recommendations. There's certain movies where I look on my DVD shelves and I think, why does this not have a Blu-ray release? The other day I went to watch a certain movie and I knew I had the DVD, and I looked on BluRay.com and Googled it, and I found out there's not even a physical release of this in Blu-ray, even in the world. And I was shocked. I ended up watching this certain movie on streaming because the quality was just slightly better, and I really hate to do that. And I wonder, these directors for this particular movie has plenty of movies in the Criterion Collection. Well, why isn't this one? And then I started looking and I found 10 more movies that I'm like shocked. I'm like, why isn't this in the collection? And I'm sure there's various different reasons, but I'm begging Criterion, there's plenty of releases they do every year. Wake up, let's put these out. I think these are great movies that need rediscovery and would be perfect for the brand. So today I'm going to talk about these 10 movies, do a quick synopsis, and kind of beg the Criterion, like, what are we thinking? Come on, let's go. So join us. First up, we have Waking Life, 2001, directed by Richard Linklater, stars Wiley Wiggins, Ethan Hawke, Julie Delpy, Soderbergh is actually in this, and many other people. Came out in 2001. I actually saw this as a double feature with The Man Who Wasn't There. It was a great double feature in the theater. And I think it's insane that this is not available on the Criterion Collection. Other Linklater movies like, Slacker and Dazed and Confused and the Before trilogy, Boyhood, they're all available, and they're going to put New Vogue soon. So why isn't Waking Life? Really interesting movie. If you don't know anything about it, it's sort of this weird person going from conversation to conversation, talking about philosophy, and he interviews like artists and filmmakers, and it's kind of a weird hangout movie, if you will. But what makes it really interesting is it's all rotoscoped and animated, and it kind of looks like this trippy kind of look to it. Very interesting movie, very cool, and like you can almost picture like a really cool edition on Criterion with like a nice cover, and do a slip cover version of it, where it folds out into like imagery. Or why not do a trilogy with this and Scanner Darkly and that Apollo 11.5 movie they made a few years ago? Do a whole animated trilogy of Linker. Why not? Let's do it. So this is the first one that I'm thinking, I think it's a no-brainer. Just put it out already. Waking Life, 2001. Next up, we have Elephant, which came out in 2003. This is directed by Gus Van Sant. It won the Palme d'Or, and it's only available on DVD. Now, look, it's not the best topic for a movie. It's about high school kids and school shootings and such. But, an important movie, an interesting one. And, Gus Van Sant's got other movies. He's got Drugstore Cowboy and My Private Idaho and, To Die For in the collection. So why not Elephant? Why is this the only version I'm allowed to get, is this DVD, even if you can find it? I don't believe his other movie, the Kurt Cobain one, I think it's Good Days, is available either on Blu-ray or 4K either. So maybe do like a pack of those too. I mean, there's plenty of good Gus Van Sant movies that are not available. But here's another one that I think is worth rediscovery. I mean, I haven't seen it in a while, and I'm kind of curious how it is, and maybe I just need to do a rewatch and just stop waiting for a Blu-ray. So Elephant, Gus Van Sant, why is that not available? Another one that maybe it's a little stretchy here, but Criterion Collection loves David Lynch, and there's pretty much every David Lynch movie available on the Criterion after Wild at Heart. I'm still waiting for Straight Story, but I know that's getting a release, I believe, shortly. Not by Criterion, but somebody else. But why not his daughter with Boxing Helena? This came out in 1993 by Jennifer Lynch. Julian Sand, Sherilyn Fenn, Art Garfunkel's in this. I mean, it's definitely a weird movie. I don't know if it's a great movie by any means, but a funky arty movie that might, be worth rediscovering. And, there's so much Lynch love in the Criterion. Why not throw this one out there? I would love a version full of all sorts of commentary and documentaries on this one. I know it had kind of a crazy casting. There were some big major actors that were supposed to be in the role, and then it went to Sherilyn Fenn. But yeah, Boxing Helena, why not put this one out, Criterion? I think it would be a really cool addition if you did this one and kind of fit with the other David Lynch brand stuff. So that's that. One that really, I just adore this movie to death. I know my wife absolutely loves it. I'm constantly listening to the soundtrack, And it's just such a shame the only version is DVD is available. And I'm talking about Lars von Trier's Dancer in the Dark with Björk. Love this. I mean, the music was nominated for an Oscar. Plenty of Lars von Trier's movies in the collection. Why not this one? Came out in 2000, shot in digital for the real life scenes and film in the musical scenes. If you know nothing about this, Björk plays a kind of a Czech immigrant working in an American family or factory, and she starts losing her sight. And she's got some kind of nasty neighbors and people that are taking advantage of her. And when she kind of escapes from reality, she dances, breaks out in song, and the movie changes to film, and just a wonderful movie. It's got great soundtrack. Like I said, I constantly listen to it. Björk, I think she did a few cameo roles, but a big major role for her that, just kind of, if you don't have the DVD, I don't even know if it's streaming anywhere. It's just a shame because it's a really good movie. So Criterion, come on now. You got Breaking the Waves and Europa and Antichrist. Why not Dancer in the Dark? Let's throw that one out there. Next up, another one that, maybe it's not the best movie, but Soderbergh does interesting things, and I'm talking about 2002's remake of Solaris, starring George Clooney. Much shorter version than the Russian one, but I think it'd be interesting to compare the two and put out a nice edition of this in 4K. It's got some cool space stuff, and a movie that I haven't revisited in a while, but I kind of want to. I want a really good version of this to kind of throw on my big screen and check it out. Soderbergh in general, I usually like as a filmmaker. He's got Traffic and Sex, Lies, and Videotape and Che and all sorts of stuff in the Criterion Collection already. Throw this one out. Come on, let's do a crazy double feature with the original Solaris if you want to endure a long double feature. But great movie. About space. Why isn't this out? I mean, come on now. So Solaris, that's another one. One that I really, really wish they would just do a Blu-ray. Anybody, just please pick it up, is Paul Giamatti in American Splendor. This came out in 2003, about the life of Harvey Pekar, the artist. He's in the movie. It's a quasi-documentary. It's this reenactment scenes. Hope Davis is great in this. R. Crumb is in this. It's really fun. It's a great little quirky movie by Paul Giamatti, who, to me, needs an Academy Award. I think he should have won one for Holdovers and this. So good. And just totally worth rediscovering. And another one that you can almost see is like a folded, cover with beautiful design work and everything else. I don't know what the holdup is with anybody putting this one out. Wonderful film. Really worth rediscovering if you haven't seen it. And if you haven't seen the Crumb documentary, that would be a great double feature to watch with this. So come on, American Splendor, 2003. Throw it out. Next up, and this is the one that kind of started me thinking about doing this episode, and I'm talking about 2000's The Beach, directed by Danny Boyle with Leonardo DiCaprio. I think there was one release of this overseas on Blu-ray, but I was having conflicting information. But I like this movie a lot. It's based on the novel by Alex Garland, who did the 28 years and weeks and days trilogy and beyond, and Warfare and all that sort of stuff. Screenplays by John Hodge. I've always kind of liked this movie. This is kind of not fresh off Titanic, but a few years later. I remember seeing this in high school in 2000. Young Leo and Tilda Swinton, and like a very quirky performance by Robert Carlyle. It's about DiCaprio plays this guy named Richard, and he's trying to find this like beautiful beach in Thailand, and he goes there and it's paradise, and then of course it's not all what it seems. I think it's a great movie. I always have fun with it. Danny Boyle's direction, if anything, with the camera shots and the things he does with it. It's quick, it's fun. I like the music. I've always liked this movie, and I don't know. I think it's a perfect movie to put in the Criterion Collection or any other company. Just put it out. Put it out better than the DVD. Why did I have to watch this on, I think it was Hulu? So, The Beach. That's one. One I would love to watch in either Criterion, or even if Arrow put this out, I'd be happy. I'm talking about 1995 Strange Days, one of my favorite quirky sci-fi movies that came out, directed by Catherine Bigelow, who did Hurt Locker and Near Dark and many other great movies. This stars Ray Fiennes, Angela Bassett, Tom Sizemore, Michael Whitcott. And this is one that really just super fun. If you don't know the premise, these people put on these like virtual reality headsets that record, what they're doing, and you can replay it, and it will take you into the viewer who recorded it, and it kind of goes into these kind of snuff film type things and some other violence things, and it's sort of this kind of neo-noir set in, the final days of 1999 going into 2000. Very cool movie. I've always liked the premise. It's been a little while since I've seen it, but I know I've liked it, and I've watched it a few times. Political thriller, kind of an action movie. Maybe it's an Arrow movie, but, again, it would be really cool if Criterion put any of Catherine Bigelow's movies into the collection. I mean, here's one that I just don't think gets a lot of play. James Cameron produced this. Just a cool movie. If you haven't seen it, check it out. Strange Days. So throw it out there. Come on now. Here's another one that really surprises me. There's no Woody Allen movies in the Criterion Collection at all. And maybe there's a reason for that. I don't know. And he's got 40 plus movies, etc. But one that I would love for any company to just put out other than DVD is The Sweet and Lowdown with Sean Penn. This also has Samantha Morton. She had a really great role in The Odyssey this year. Uma Thurman's in this. This is 1999. Really, really, really like this movie. Sean Penn plays this like fictional jazz guitarist named Emmett Ray, who's like the second greatest guitarist in the world. The other greatest is Django Reinhardt, who's always been a big fan of mine. Really great Sean Penn role. It's super quirky. I think he was nominated for an Oscar for this. Yeah, he was, and Samantha Morton was. Just a fun little comedy, and sometimes Woody Allen every few years would just put out just a phenomenally fun movie, quirky premise that kind of fits all his sort of stylings, and this is no different. One that I just think that no one really talks about when they talk about Woody Allen and Sean Penn. I mean, look, the man's won 3 Academy Awards right now. Like, I think every one of his movies is worth discovering and rewatching, and I mean, that guy's just phenomenal at acting, and this is no different. So come on, Criterion, throw this one out, or any Woody Allen movie. Can you imagine like a giant 80 disc box set of all the Woody Allen movies? How cool would that be? I'd spend the money on it, wouldn't you? So Sweet and Lowdown. And last off, another one of my favorite documentaries that there's some other films in the collection by this same documentarian, but I'm talking about Mr. Death, The Rise and Fall of Fred Lusher. Saw this movie. This came out in 1999. I saw Gates of Heaven, and I saw Fog of War, and I watched Werner Herzog Eats His Shoe, even though he didn't direct it. But I really started getting into Errol Morris, and I rented this one from the library. And this turns out to be, he also did Thin Blue Line, which is probably his most famous one. But this one was my favorite of watching all of those. This is such an interesting movie about, this guy who started fixing like electric chairs, and he devised like lethal injection machine and, more efficient ways to kill people and gas chambers. And they sent him over to Auschwitz and other Holocaust places, and all sorts of things go on. The guy's kind of a crazy character. He smokes like 10 packs of cigarettes a day and drinks nothing but coffee. And Errol Morris does a great job of interviewing these quirky characters and people, and I always found it fascinating. This has some amazing documentary like B-roll in it. To me, it's a perfect movie for the Criterion to pop out. It's another great Errol Morris movie. I don't think it's talked about enough. And why not? You got those other ones. Throw this one out too. So that's Mr. Death. I highly recommend it if you haven't seen that. And then I have 3 honorable mentions. There's 3 movies that I think had limited releases that were out quickly, and but not a big proper release. And maybe we need to do better than that and put out some proper releases. So the first one I have here is controversial as can be, but 2003's Brown Bunny. Definitely a kind of pretentious movie by Vincent Gallo. Chloe Sevignyon's in it. There's a famous sex scene in this that, they always talk about. I think they did this like limited Black Friday deal or something. There was like limited to 300 copies of this or something along those lines, but they did put out a better version in the DVD of this. I don't know if it's a particularly great movie. I remember liking it when I saw it. But maybe it's worth, rediscovering. Maybe this is more of a Vinegar Syndrome movie. I don't know, but one that I think is worth it. I don't think Buffalo 66 is even available on a Blu-ray. I could be wrong on that, but I don't know. Put out a few of his movies. Why not? I mean, even controversial movies and bad movies or really bad movies. I think Roger Ebert called this like the worst thing ever. Like that sort of thing. It's still worth discovering and to be interesting to throw on. So Brown Bunny, maybe that one should go on. I was really crazy to think that Alfonso Cuarón's Little Princess isn't available on Blu-ray. It's only available on DVD. I think there was like a Warner Brothers exclusive Blu-ray of this at one point. But, this guy did Gravity and Y Tu Mamá Te Vi and stuff. Like, why isn't this one? This is a beautiful movie if you haven't seen it. It's got such a great look to it. I remember when Harry Potter or Prisoner of Azkaban came out, I was familiar with this and watching this. I'm like, man, that guy's going to knock it out of the park. He can really do, like, family and fantasy really well. So Little Princess, like, I'm really surprised this isn't available in a better version. So, and then the last one, Titus, the Anthony Hopkins Shakespeare movie, directed by Julie Taymor. I loved this movie when it came out in the theater. I think it came out in 2000 or 1999. I remember seeing it in the theater the day it came out. Great stuff. I mean, beautiful looking movie. I haven't revisited this in quite some time, so I wonder how it holds up. But I remember loving it. I remember the quirkiness. I remember Anthony Hopkins in this like chef outfit, like dancing around in this dinner table. And I've gotten more and more into Shakespeare over the years. And this is a very seen play. So why not put this one out? I mean, Julie Taymor, she started doing Lion King on Broadway and some other Broadway pieces that were super successful. I think her daughter did The Outsiders that won Tonys this year. And, why is this one hard to find? Why is no one even talking about this? I love Alan Cumming in this is great. Jonathan Rhys-Meyers is in this is great. Jessica Lange, all great actors and doing a really quirky Shakespeare movie that no one really ever talks about. So, come on, make a really cool edition of this. I mean, this even looks cool like this, like you can imagine like a really cool folded version of this from Criterion or somebody else, but put this one out, guys. So, all right, well, there you have it. There are 10 movies and 3 honorable mentions that are only available on DVD and not on 4K or Blu-ray. Come on, Criterion or some other boutique Blu-ray labels, let's wake up and put these out already. I love to rediscover movies and, I hesitant to double dip certain times, but when they go from DVD to 4K, it really entices me to buy the new edition and to rediscover the movie. I just recently did this with Alice Doesn't Live Here Anymore. I've done it with numerous other ones over the years. So I really beg you guys, let's put out some of these cool movies. Why not? Let's rediscover them. I know the film community loves doing that, and why not these? So let me know in the comments if I'm right about some of these movies or if there's other movies that I'm missing that are only available on DVD and not in Blu-ray and 4K. I got some other videos about some Criterion movies and some other movies that I talk about. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, keep spinning those discs.